The year is 1998, inside a dingy government guest house in Abuja. A 60-year-old man sits alone. He's not just any man, he's a billionaire, a media mogul, a father of dozens, a man who once dined with kings and presidents. More importantly, he is the democratically elected president of Nigeria, elected by his people, endorsed by international observers, chosen fairly and freely by millions of Nigerians. But tonight, it sits in that room not as president, but as a prisoner, and in the morning, he will be dead. This is the story of Chief Moshood Kashimawo Olawale Abiola, the man they called MKO, the man Nigeria chose, and the man Nigeria lost. Moshood Abiola was born on August 24, 1937 in Abeokuta, in what was then known as the British-controlled Nigeria. He wasn't born into privilege. He wasn't born with connections. He was born in a room with no ceiling, literally, and he shared that room with 12 siblings. His mother, Suliat, was the 10th of his father's many wives. They were poor, sometimes desperately so. But Moshood was different from the start. Sharp, relentless, hungry in a way that had nothing to do with food. He excelled in school not because it was easy, but because he treated it like survival. He won scholarships. He pushed past every barrier. He studied at the University of Glasgow in Scotland, got a degree in accounting, came back to Nigeria with fire in his chest and a plan that was bigger than anyone around him would see. And then he found his door, International Telephone and Telegraph Corporation, ITT, one of the largest multinationals in the world. MKO joined ITT Nigeria within years. He wasn't just an employee, he was the vice chairman of the African operations, a black Nigerian man running a global corporation's African business in the 1970s. Let that sink in. But ITT was just the launch pad. MKO Abiola had a vision for Nigeria that went beyond corporate boardrooms. He left ITT and built his own empire, Concord Press, a media group that owned newspapers, magazines, and radio stations. He wanted Nigerians to tell their own stories. He invested in football. He owned the Abiola Babes, one of Nigeria's most celebrated clubs. He sponsored sports, education, religion. He built mosques and churches side by side because to MKO, Nigeria was one. He funded thousands of university scholarships. He sank money into rural communities that the government had forgotten. He paid hospital bills for strangers he'd never met. By the 1980s, MKO Abiola wasn't just rich, he was a phenomenon, a symbol of what a self-made African man could become. But the bigger he got, the louder a question became, which is, why is this man not running Nigeria? In 1993, Nigeria was preparing for what was supposed to be a transition to democracy after years of military rule. The military government of Ibrahim Babangida set up two political parties, the Social Democratic Party and the National Republican Convention. Nigerians were told, pick one, campaign, then hand over to civilians. MKO Abiola chose the SDP, and when he declared his candidacy, something electric happened. People who had never voted before registered. Northerners, Southerners, Christians, Muslims, the poor, the market women, the Okada riders, everyone, because of MKO Abiola. He wasn't just a Yoruba man running for Yoruba people. He was a Muslim who had built churches, a Southerner with deep roots in the north, a billionaire who still remembered what poverty felt like. His opponent was Bashir Tofa, a Northerner, a Muslim versus a Muslim, a Southerner versus a Northerner. Old rules didn't apply. So, on July 12, 1993, Nigerians went to the polls, and what happened that day was remarkable. International observers called it the freest, fairest election in Nigerian history. And MKO won. not just in his Yoruba southwest, but across ethnic and religion lines. He won in the north, he won in parts of the east, he won. And then, 8 days later, the military announced the results. General Ibrahim Babangida, who had spent years promising a return to democracy, simply cancelled the election. No reason given at first, then vague claims after legal challenges, then silence. Nigeria exploded. Lagos burned. Protesters took to the streets. People who had believed in democracy, who had queued for hours in the sun to cast their votes, felt something break inside them. MKO could have accepted it. He was already a billionaire. He could have gone back to his mansions, his businesses, his comfortable life. The military might even have rewarded his silence. But he refused. On June 11, 1994, exactly 1 year after the election, MKO Abiola stood before a crowd of people in Epetedo, Lagos, and declared himself the president of Nigeria. The crowd went wild, and 2 weeks later, the government arrested him. He was charged with treason. By now, Sani Abacha had taken over as military head of state. And Abacha was not Babangida. Abacha was ruthless. People disappeared under his watch. Journalists were killed. Activists were jailed. MKO's wife, Kudirat Abiola, became the face of the resistance. She campaigned relentlessly for her husband's release, speaking at rallies, meeting foreign governments, refusing to let the world forget. In 1996, she was shot dead in Lagos traffic. Most men would have broken. Most men would have signed whatever paper the government put in front of them just to breathe free air again. MKO Abiola refused to renounce his mandate. Month after month, year after year, I am the president of Nigeria, he said from his cell, and I will remain so. By 1998, things weren't shifting. Sani Abacha died suddenly in June, under circumstances that were never fully explained. The international community was pushing hard for MKO's release. American officials flew to Nigeria. There were rumors of a deal. Maybe, just maybe, MKO would walk free. On July 7, 1998, a team including US Ambassador William Twadell and Susan Rice, then a senior State Department official, met with MKO at the government guest house in Abuja. The meeting started, and then MKO collapsed. He was rushed to hospital. Within hours, he was dead. The official cause, a heart attack, but Nigerians didn't believe it. His family didn't believe it. Human rights groups raised alarms. There were allegations of poisoning. An independent autopsy suggested he might have been given a fast-acting toxic substance. The full truth has never been fully established. No one has ever been held accountable. MKO Abiola died at 60 years old. He never sat in Asoro. He never signed a single law as president. But in the hearts of millions of Nigerians, he died as their president. For years, Nigeria's government tried to bury June 12. They declared May 29 as Democracy Day, the day the military handed over to civilians in 1999, and pretended June 12 never happened. But Nigerians remembered. June 12 became a quiet act of resistance. You acknowledge it or you didn't, and how you answered said everything about where you stood. Then in 2018, 20 years after his death, President Muhammadu Buhari made June 12 the official Democracy Day of Nigeria. MKO Abiola was posthumously awarded the Grand Commander of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Nigeria's highest national honor. Abeokuta renamed streets, schools were named after him, statues were erected. It was long overdue, and for many Nigerians, it still wasn't enough. MKO Abiola could have chosen money. He chose justice. He could have chosen freedom. He chose principle. He could have chosen survival. He chose Nigeria. And that is why, even today, millions of Nigerians speak of his name, not with sadness, but with pride. If this story moved you, share it. Nigerian's history belongs to all of us. Like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.